I am a local Mainer. I grew up in Brunswick, and so I have lived in Maine my entire life. And moved to Portland about 5 or 6 years ago, but my family is here, and so I grew up here. I graduated from high school here. I went away to New York for college, and actually didn't think I would come back. I was like, I'm staying in New York and I'm not coming back, but my family is here, and so I made my way back to Maine, and I've been here ever since. What I love most about living in Maine is the things that I actually didn't like when I was younger. Like we have a lot of beauty here that I think is really, like, I wasn't appreciating it the way that I should. I love that I don't have to travel very far to get to water. I don't have to go very far to get to the beach. And if I want, the city feel of a small city like Portland, that's great. But if I want to go, closer into nature and closer to the mountains, I'm able to do that quickly as well. So I think we have the best of both worlds living here. My struggle is just the fact that we have so little diversity here, and I think it's way more than we had when I was younger. I was the only Black student in school until like 5th grade, I think, and then there were only 2 of us. And that was really challenging, I think, just feeling like there were others around that looked like me. That just wasn't the case. So I stuck out a lot, and people were, of course, always wondering like where I came from, and saying things that were really hard to hear. And I had to have a lot of conversations, I think, at a younger age about race in a way that I wasn't prepared for, because I was just a kid. But yeah, I think that's probably the hardest part, is feeling like I was always sticking out and always being stared at. And it still happens now. We've diversified a lot more, but I still find myself being like the first or the second or the third Black woman of something. And I think that's a challenging title to hold. My whole goal is I need to pave a way for others to come after me and have it easier than I did. And I think a lot of that exists within being on city council. I'm the second Black woman that's ever been on the Portland City Council. And that is really important. And it's a really heavy thing to carry, but I realized that I'm blazing a trail that didn't exist before, and I have a responsibility to make more room for Black women to come after me and diverse perspectives to come after me. And so I think in all of my spaces that I occupy, just existing in those spaces as the first and being a Black woman that's an activist and speaks out about racial equity, it's really important, because I hope that by doing that, we can have younger Black women that can thrive and don't have to have those conversations if they don't want to. My education has impacted my life greatly, and I think it's a huge privilege to be able to go to college, and it's something that I don't take lightly, because not everybody is awarded that privilege, and I was able to go to college. And I think it was good that I got to leave Maine. I always feel like I needed to leave for a little while and figure out who I was and what I cared about. And I had a wide range of classes that I was able to take that were in Black history and in things that I was never really taught growing up in Brunswick and going to school in Brunswick. So it helped to just be in a space where I could identify who I was. I could use some of the tools that I learned back here. It was a really great privilege that I was awarded, and I try and work hard to use a lot of what I learned in school, to apply it to my future. I think policy-wise, to help the next generation is like what I'm focused a lot on, especially as a young person and as a Black woman, because I want us as a city to really invest in young people, and especially young Black people and young Black people of color, so that they don't feel like they need to leave Maine in order to find success and to find opportunities. I think if we can create those opportunities here, the city of Portland and really all of Maine would really thrive. And then we could allow community to be created by individuals who are of ethnic and racial backgrounds. And by doing that, I think that will ripple out into the entirety of the community. So I'm hoping to always provide opportunities. And I think in our future of Portland and of Maine, it changes every day, because sometimes I'm not having a great day on the city council and I'm like, it's not going well. But I think I have to remember who I'm doing this for, and it's always for the generation that's gonna come after me. So if I have to like fight and claw my way into spaces that weren't meant for me, I know I'm doing that in the best interest of the next group that's going to come after. And so I always try and keep that in mind and just really push forward. What I'm most optimistic about, I think, is just we have such a great group of really young and energetic, dynamic leaders here, whether you're in the political space or the activist space or the community and arts space. We have so many great individuals that live here that are really working hard to decolonize spaces and practice restorative justice and really move forward with saying, we are going to advocate and amplify voices of those who've just been historically under-resourced. And it feels really good to be in those spaces because then it's like we're all doing this together, and the makeup of Portland, I think, will really continue to change when we have more leaders in positions of power that didn't have a life in politics, that weren't privileged to, have opportunities, but individuals that have been under-resourced and haven't had those opportunities given to them are rising to the top and leading conversations, and I think that that's really exciting. So I hope that we have more of that, because I can't wait for us to be led by people that have lived experience, because I think that that's really important. The advice I have for the younger generations, I feel like it's also like the advice I give myself, which is just to keep going and keep taking up space, and especially in the spaces that aren't created for you. And I think of that being on city council, like I was not supposed to be there. It's not a space that is for, like young, progressive, radical Black women who are, rooted in amplification of historically under-resourced voices. That's not really like where I'm supposed to be, but I'm there. And I think that speaks to what we can really do as young people and as women with different backgrounds and lived experiences. So my advice is keep going, keep taking up space, but also celebrate joy and find your time to take a step back and pour into yourself with the things that you like doing, because it can also be a really exhausting place to be when you're fighting and advocating all day against people who want different things than you. And I think my advice for the older generation is to just understand that we're taking up space, and that we would love to be invited to your tables, but that we will also just create our own tables if there's not space for us at yours. And the next generation is here, and really Portland and Maine are changing, and I'm very excited to see what we do and what happens. So I would just say buckle up, because we're here.